Welcome to rSlash Am I the Butthole, where OP gets run over by a car. Am I the butthole for taking legal action against the person who hit me with their car 11 years ago? I'm a 28-year-old guy, and when I was 17 and still in high school, I got hit by a car. The car sped through a red light and ended up hitting me while I was crossing the street. The accident left me in the hospital for 3 weeks. I could have died because of that driver. I received a spinal fracture, and I lost a good chunk of my mobility. I had a baseball scholarship lined up for Kansas State University, and I had that ripped away from me. My mother is a single parent. She had me when she was still in high school and had to drop out because of me. She couldn't hold down a job apart from part-time, non-intensive work, so she worked as a waitress. We couldn't afford my medical bill, so my mother had to sell a majority of our possessions to cover the bill. She started taking more and more shifts at work just to pay off my bills. Eventually, we had to turn to banks for loans just to pay off my bills. My mother's credit has been in ruins. Last week was my 28th birthday, and my friend, Jack from high school, invited me over to his house just to have a few beers and watch a movie. Jack introduced me to his girlfriend, Ashley, who's 29. She was very pleasant to talk to, and she had some wacky stories to share and some great life advice about addictive substances since she was a recovering meth addict. Then she told me about the time that she ran over a high schooler. The details of her story fit the exact version of my story. I asked her what happened to the high schooler she ran over, and she said, "I have no clue, really. The kid is probably 10 feet in the ground right now." She didn't have a single bit of remorse in her voice. She seemed to be stifling back laughter. I got up and left Jack's house. 2 hours later, Jack called me and asked me why I left his house. I told him, "Jack, your girlfriend ran me over. She completely screwed up my life." Jack just laughed and said, "So, it's been 11 years. Let it go." I yelled at Jack and told him that I could be happy right now. I could be enjoying life, not sitting here broke and depressed, thinking about what ifs every single night. I told him that I'll be finding a lawyer and taking Ashley to court for damages. Now, for the past week, I've been getting messages from my high school friends, Jack, his family, and Ashley that I'm the butthole for not just letting it go, and that I should do something that this subreddit won't allow me to say. My mother says that I should go through with a lawsuit against Ashley, but I don't know if I want to do it. It would be so much easier to just let this go and continue on with my life. So Reddit, am I the butthole? OP, the first thing that I would do in your shoes is to look up the statute of limitations on this type of crime, because if it hasn't passed, then I would absolutely press criminal charges. She doesn't just deserve to be sued, she deserves to be in jail. And secondly, yeah, I would absolutely hire a lawyer and sue her for every single penny she had, which admittedly probably isn't going to be that much because she's a recovering meth addict. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. Jack gets 4 out of 5 buttholes, and Ashley gets 5 out of 5 buttholes. Ashley is genuinely a garbage human being, and she belongs behind bars. It doesn't sound like she was just telling stories. It sounds like she was literally bragging about how she got away from hitting a high schooler with a car. Am I the butthole for breaking my promise to my stepkids and, quote, abandoning and traumatizing them because I didn't want to parent them anymore? I met Will when I was 22. Will was 29 and had 2 kids, and he had recently been widowed. We had a whirlwind courtship where he introduced me to his kids and got me involved in their lives very early. In fact, just a few days after I met him, Will said really quickly that he was sure I was the one, not only for himself, but also for his kids. That we'd have an incredible, happy family life. We got married when I was 23, Will was 30, and his kids were 8 and 6. Our wedding ceremony also included me and the kids making promises to each other, which was Will's idea. Soon, Will shoved all childcare onto me. I'm not a stay-at-home spouse. I worked full-time and I always have. But he always had reasons for me to do the childcare. Him being sore from doing a physical job, me being better at it because I babysit kids his age in the past and he never had. Or for girl stuff involving his daughter, like cooking. He always had some reason, and it always ended up on me. He started playing video games and relaxing after getting home until bedtime because he was tired, and I bring in all the money and keep a roof over everyone's heads. Though that wasn't really true. He said that he deserved to relax. Then he went out with his friends or brought them back to drink beer and watch loud TV. He developed a major attitude with me and encouraged the same in the kids. They found it funny. He started openly disrespecting me and encouraged them to do it as well. He was the ultimate fun dad, and I got put in the role of the mean witch. Sometimes they all ganged up on me and mocked me, but also they all expected me to serve them and constantly be jumping up to care for them. By the end of the first year, I realized the marriage was a big mistake, but I felt guilty leaving because of my promises to the kids. Another year went by, and I realized that no matter how I tried, and even though they're kids so I can't really blame them, I genuinely hated both of those kids. And I couldn't lie to myself anymore and pretend that I loved them. I didn't, and I never would. One day, I just walked out. I packed up everything I owned and moved out while nobody was home. I left a note explaining that it wasn't working, and I said goodbye. That was the end. Cue a shitstorm from my ex and a bitter divorce. But we both walked away with what we went into in the marriage, which wasn't much for either of us. I had never legally adopted the kids, so I had no rights or responsibilities for them, and I never reached out to any of them again. Honestly, I was overjoyed to be rid of them. 15 years have gone by, and that seems like a lifetime ago, or another person's life, but I'm still in my 30s. I was recently shocked to get a message from Tamara, Will's daughter, who's now 25. Tamara said that I betrayed and traumatized her for life for abandoning them after my promises to them. She said that I had a responsibility to never leave no matter what. I know that she remembers the horrible way that she treated me though. Alright, OP, I would bet literally anything that even though Tamara said this is effectively her father's words speaking in her mouth. Do you really believe that after you broke up with your husband, he was like, "Oh man, kids, I really messed that one up. That's completely my fault. I didn't do a good job of respecting my wife, and as a result, she dumped me." Probably more like, "That stupid, ungrateful I can't believe she abandoned me. Abandoned you, you're just kids. She made promises to me, she made promises to you, and she just discarded that promise like you're worthless. What kind of disgusting human being, what kind of woman would just abandon a child?" So naturally that 8 and 6-year-old kid grew up hating you, because why wouldn't they? I feel like a woman being a mom to 2 kids for just 2 years and then leaving isn't exactly traumatizing. I mean, it sucks, sure, obviously the kids would rather have you in their lives, but traumatizing them for life? No. Also, OP, I think your husband basically emotionally manipulated you into being his, wife, nanny, maid, cook, just sort of all the above. And I'm pretty sure he knew exactly what he was doing when he got you to make those promises to those kids. Those promises would basically help anchor you to the family so he could just get away with doing whatever. Never mind the fact that when he married you, presumably he made promises to you to provide and to love and to care for you, but never mind that, right? Anyways, OP, I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your ex-husband 5 out of 5 buttholes. He's a bad father, a bad husband, and a bad person. Tamara, I'll be honest, I have to give her 2 out of 5 buttholes as well. I get that she's basically been brainwashed from the age that she was 8 or 10 or whatever to hate you just her whole life. However, she's 25 now. 25 is old enough to be like, hey, wait a second. Did that person really traumatize me for life? Or am I just eating up all this BS that my father is spewing at me? Am I the butthole for telling my friend that parents would rather have their kids be a CEO than a programmer? I plan to major in business, and my friend plans to major in computer science. She's very proud of the fact that she and her whole family are STEM majors, and no one in her family has a useless major. We were discussing our future degrees, and she joked that my parents probably wish they could adopt her into our family. I was confused and asked her why, and she said they probably wish their eldest child was getting a prestigious degree so they could brag to all their friends like her parents do. I was baffled by the fact that she was suggesting that her computer science degree was more prestigious than my business degree. I informed her that my parents already brag about me plenty, and that no, any parent would much rather have their kid be a CEO than a programmer. I told her that she'll never become wealthy working as a programmer because you usually have to start a business to become genuinely wealthy. I have a much greater chance of becoming wealthy than she does. She then said that she thinks that I don't have the entrepreneurial mindset and that if I was smart, I would pick a STEM degree and be guaranteed a great job like her. She said business majors are just humanity majors with a sprinkle of math added to make them seem valuable. She said STEM is what makes the world go round. I was very insulted that she was comparing business to the humanities of all things. I pointed out that I've already created successful businesses, so clearly I do have the business mindset. And I told her, business majors make the world go round. STEM majors are just worker bees that work for the people who have ideas. She is furious with me now. She said, I respect your decision to pick an easy major, but let's not pretend that any parent wants their kids to major in business. That just pissed me off even more. Am I the butthole for pointing out that most parents would want their kid to be a CEO over a programmer? Oh man. So, you know when you're like 7 and you have this fight with your friend where you're like, my dad could beat up your dad. No, my dad could beat up your dad. Oh yeah? Well, my dad goes to the gym. Oh yeah? Well, my dad's super big and super strong and he could totally beat your dad's butt. This argument that you just shared with the internet, OP, sounds exactly like that argument. My business major could beat up your programming major. Oh yeah? Well, my programming major could beat up your business major. Honestly, people, come on, who cares? Who cares? So on top of you two arguing about this like a couple of children, what you're actually arguing about doesn't even make sense. You're talking about how, like, parents would rather have their kid be a CEO than a programmer, but having a business degree doesn't mean that you'll necessarily become a CEO. I mean, statistically, you're more likely to become some kind of middle manager or something. Same thing with the programmer. Just because you're a programmer doesn't mean you'll grow up to be insanely wealthy. You might just get a job that makes, probably decent money, like 80 to 100K, but not like insanely Jeff Bezos level wealthy. And to make matters worse, what you guys are doing is you're arguing about which one of you is cooler based on stuff that hasn't actually happened. Oh, well, this degree is better because it might mean this, or this degree is better because it might make me this much money. Well, I personally have both a bachelor's and a master's in English because I thought that I was going to become an English professor one day, and I can safely tell you that these two degrees are the most worthless, zero-value degrees that you could possibly get. And despite that, I'm an entrepreneur. I mean, I own my own business. I'm a YouTuber. I've made a couple YouTube channels, and this is my full-time job. So technically, I'm more entrepreneurial than both of you combined. So as you can see, having a degree has absolutely no bearing on how entrepreneurial someone is. Anyone can start a business. And I'm not saying this to flex on you, OP, because you and your friend are clearly trying to flex on each other. I'm just saying this to point out how stupid it is. You don't even need any degree to start a business. OP, this feels like an everyone sucks here situation. I'm giving you and your friend both 2 out of 5 buttholes. Oh my god, grow up. Am I the butthole for telling my kids why we're getting a divorce? Alright, so this is messy. Me and my ex-wife got married at the age of 23 and had 3 kids. My 3 kids are now 17, 15, and 14. I recently found out that my ex-wife and I has been cheating on me for 3 years. Once I confronted her, she broke down, saying that I was never home and always working. By the way, I worked like that so that she could be a stay-at-home mom. I raised my kids to believe that cheating is one of the worst things in the world. If you no longer love someone, just break up with them. Don't cheat. Even if you have issues with the relationship, work it out or leave them. Now, before we sat them down, their mother begged me to not tell them she cheated. I told her that if they asked, then I wouldn't lie. She tried to dance around the whole reason for the divorce, citing adult issues. My 14-year-old asked me why we were getting a divorce, and I told him flat out, she cheated on me for 3 years. The mother immediately burst out crying, and all the kids were incredibly angry with her. It's been 3 months, and they still haven't spoken to her, saying that she ruined their family and their lives, and that she's a cheater and a liar. She's been coming after me online, saying that I'm a bastard and I ruined her relationship with her kids. Am I the butthole? Oh, OP, your wife is such a victim. She let some other guy rail her for 3 years straight, and then when her kids find out, suddenly it's your fault that you ruined the relationship with the kids? No, she did when she screwed some other guy for 3 years. Also, for this next point, don't think that I'm bashing stay-at-home moms here, because my wife is actually being a stay-at-home mom for our daughter, so I've got nothing against it at all. But OP is working hard so that his wife can be a stay-at-home mom, but her kids are 14, 15, and 17. Kids that age are usually off at school, and when they're not at school, then they're often hanging out with friends or going to sports or whatever, so you don't really need someone staying home 24/7. If OP's wife got so bored being a stay-at-home mom, then she could have gone out and found herself a job. Like, what was stopping her? So, in general, OP, I can kind of understand why she would not want that fact to come out. Because, for one, it's not exactly the kid's business. It's your and your wife's business. However, it does affect your kids. So I think the people out there who are like, no, OP, you should have absolutely not told the kids. It could damage the relationship and that is the wrong thing to do. I think the people who think that are justified in thinking that. I think it's completely reasonable. However, on the other side of the coin, I think that people who are like, hell yeah, you gotta tell the kids because they have a right to know because it's their family. Those people are completely justified as well. So really, I think you're in the clear on this one, OP. And even more important than that, your kids are fairly old, 14, 15, 17. That's definitely old enough to process what really happened here and understand that this is your wife's fault, not yours. So, OP, I'm sorry that your wife did that to you, but please don't let her guilt trip you. I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your wife 5 out of 5 buttholes.
Oh, boo-hoo-hoo, woe is me. I sucked off some dude for 3 years, and now my kids found out and hate me. Oh, it's so unfair.
Yeah, right, lady. That was rSlash AmITheButthole, and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.